Transcript, ladies and gentlemen, what you're about to hear may destroy everything you ever believed about love, loyalty, and hip-hop royalty, because just 24 hours ago, 50 Cent opened his mouth, and what came out wasn't just a confession, it was a funeral. For the image we all had of Remy Ma and Papoose, we were together before Papoose, 50 said calm cold certain. And in that one sentence, he broke a marriage, he shattered a legacy, and he exposed a secret that's been buried since 2006. Meanwhile, Papoose, the man who waited years while Remy sat behind bars, the man who gave her unconditional loyalty, went live. Eyes red, hands trembling, and said just one line: "She told me it was a lie, but I saw the messages." Now, Ree's denying everything, 50's doubling down, and the internet, it's in flames. Old footage resurfacing, mysterious gifts, backstage whispers that suddenly make too much sense. This ain't just a scandal. This is a full-blown betrayal saga, and we've got the whole ugly truth right here, right now. The internet thought it had seen it all. Cheating scandals, secret babies, hidden marriages, but nothing, and we mean nothing, could prepare the culture for this, because when 50 Cent, the king of trolling and petty vengeance, dropped his latest bombshell on a podcast, no one was even paying attention to the entire hip-hop timeline imploded. He didn't blink. He didn't smirk, he just looked into the camera and said, "We were together before People forgot how close me and Remy really were. People thought it was a joke clickbait cap, until the host paused, leaned forward and asked, 'Wait, you serious?' And 50 just nodded, calm cold. Deadly suddenly, Twitter went into DEFCON 1. Old pictures of Remy and 50 backstage reanalyzed, frame by frame, that freestyle Remy did on Gun It Radio in 2006. Now seen in a whole new light. And remember that award show moment where Papoose looked visibly annoyed as 50 hugged Remy a little too long? Yeah, that one's viral now again, but let's rewind, because to understand just how deep this betrayal cuts, you got to go back to when Remy Ma was the first lady of Terror Squad, spinning bars that left male rappers shook, and 50 Cent was fresh off destroying Ja Rule's entire label with a mixtape and a glare. Their chemistry was obvious every time they shared a stage. It was fireworks, but no one suspected a thing, at least not out loud, because by the time Remy landed in prison in 2008, everyone only saw one thing: Papoose, the man who stood by her, wrote her letters, paid legal fees, put his entire career on pause to wait for the woman he loved, a man who told the world, "Remy is my queen." And when she finally got out in 2014, their reunion was emotional, legendary, and low-key a rap love story for the ages. Until now, because what if the story we all believed was a lie? What if during those years we thought Remy and Papoose were solid? There was another man behind the scenes, one with receipts, one with a history, and one with absolutely no fear of exposing everything. That's exactly what 50 Cent just did, and here's where it gets sinister. Sources close to the situation, and when we say sources, we mean people who definitely shouldn't be talking, but did anyway, claim that Remy and 50 weren't just talking, they were involved, like deeply involved, as in matching watches, private hotel bookings, a custom chain 50 allegedly gave her that mysteriously vanished right before her trial, and when Remy said she lost it, apparently Papoose asked no questions, he just believed her. Fast forward to now, and that same chain is back in circulation on eBay, listed by an anonymous seller. Captioned, "Vintage piece once owned by a female rapper who dated a mogul." You can't make this up. So what happens when a man like Papoose, a man who gave up years of his life to prove his loyalty, finds out the truth? Simple, he cracks, and that's exactly what viewers saw when he went live on Instagram just hours after 50's confession hit the shade room. He didn't say much, he didn't have to. The look in his eyes, it said everything. Tears welled up, hands shook, and for the first time in his career, Papoose had no bars, no quotes, just pain. "She told me it was just industry talk," he muttered. Eyes Reed said 50 was trolling, but then I saw the messages. Wait, what messages? You already know. We did some digging, and what we found, let's just say even Fat Joe had to take a step back. But hold that thought, because the texts aren't the only thing floating around. According to an anonymous stylist who worked with Remy during her comeback era, there was always tension. Pap would leave the room, and 50 would show up. It felt weird, like unfinished business. Now the timeline's blowing up with receipts, old tweets, backstage clips, and blurry screenshots from a flip phone someone swears is Remy and 50 kissing at a Gun It after party. And just when you think it can't get worse, it does, because Remy tried to deny it all, tried to gaslight, tried to spin the narrative like it was just a misunderstood friendship. But this time nobody bought it, not even Papoose. And that's where this scandal really starts to burn, because when trust breaks, it's not always the shouting that hurts the most, it's the silence, the long pauses between sentences, the look on a man's face when he realizes he gave his life to someone who gave their body to someone else. And while Remy was tweeting Bible verses and damage controlling in comments, 50 Cent, he was posting laughing emojis and playing many men in the background of his gym stories. But 50 wasn't done. He promised more proof is coming, and when 50 promises more, you'd better believe it's already loaded in the chamber. And just as fans began to speculate what else 50 had up his sleeve, something else broke the internet, a leaked voicemail, allegedly from 2006. Allegedly from Remy Ma, allegedly, saying the words you ain't got to worry about. Pat, he don't ask questions, the voice sounds identical, the tone, desperate, emotional, real, and the timestamp on the metadata, October 12, 2006. 2 weeks before Remy was charged, yeah, let that sink in. Right when viewers were still trying to process that audio bomb, Papoose broken, betrayed, and done playing, the loyal soldier stepped away from the camera, grabbed a piece of paper and held it up. It read DNA test pending, wait, DNA test, and just like that, the internet wasn't debating whether 50 Cent was lying anymore. They were asking one thing, who's the father, because that piece of paper Pooh held up, the one that read DNA test pending, didn't just shake fans, it sent shockwaves through the entire industry. No one expected it to go this far. No one thought Papoose would question the one thing he held on to tighter than anything, his own bloodline. But when betrayal enters the chat, everything becomes fair game. Sources say the test isn't about his daughter with Remy, it's not even about one of the kids they raised together. No, it's about someone older, someone whose birth date lines up a little too perfectly with the time Remy and 50 Cent were allegedly together way back in 2006. And now, rumors are flying that Papoose had questions for years, but always dismissed them out of loyalty, out of trust, out of love. But when that voicemail leaked, the one where Remy allegedly says, "Pap, don't ask questions," that's when everything started unraveling. People close to Pap say he's been quiet, barely eating, not sleeping, and the worst part, he's doing it all off camera. Now the man who once went live to defend his queen is now ignoring calls from media outlets, declining interviews, and shutting down studio sessions, but the silence is loud. Meanwhile, Remy is playing defense like her life depends on it, posting inspirational quotes, resharing pictures of her family, trying to pretend like the house isn't burning from the inside. But the public isn't buying it, because when the DNA rumor broke, the timeline exploded. Fans started dragging up old interviews. One in particular, a breakfast show from 2015, is getting renewed attention. In that clip, Remy is asked about her relationship timeline with Papoose, and she gives an awkward, stuttering answer. Now people are zooming in, slowing it down, pointing out how she glances to the side when asked about the year 2006, and then there's the footage from a gun at after-party, grainy but intense, where Remy is seen whispering in 50's ear while holding what appears to be the same chain that's now up for auction. And in the background of that clip, a man who looks a lot like Papoose, walking away. But wait, it gets messier. An anonymous former security guard who worked for both Gunnet and Fat Joe during the mid-2000s gave a private DM to a hip-hop blog. In it, he says, "Everyone knew something was going on between 50 and Remy, but it was hush-hush. No one wanted to deal with Papoose if it get out dude was serious." According to the same guard, 50 once pulled up to Remy's hotel suite. Unannounced, she let him in. He stayed for over 3 hours. No camera crews, no entourage, just him, just her. Fast forward to now, and those quiet nights are becoming loud. Headlines: Remy Ma hasn't responded directly to the new allegations, but fans noticed that she deleted an old Instagram post, a throwback photo of Papoose holding their child just hours after the DNA test buzz started trending. She also reportedly canceled a scheduled podcast appearance, citing mental health reasons. The same podcast hosted by one of 50's former producers. Coincidence? At the same time, Fat Joe, who's been oddly silent throughout the chaos, finally broke his silence in a cryptic Instagram live. He didn't name names, but he said, "This loyalty is rare, and sometimes the people you die for are the ones who dig the grave." That was it. No follow-up, no clarification, just a stare into the camera, and then a log off. Fans are now speculating that Fat Joe knew about Remy and 50 all along, that he protected her image, that he stayed quiet out of respect for the squad. But now that the truth's bubbling up, even he can't hold it in anymore. And as for 50 Cent, oh, he's having a field day. He posted a clip from an old freestyle battle where Remy raps, "I keep secrets better than my enemies can blink," captioned it with "not anymore," then deleted it, but not before it was screenshotted by every single gossip blog within 15 minutes. Let's not forget, this is 50, the man who beefed with his own son, who trolled Floyd Mayweather for reading out loud he does not care about playing nice, so when he says more receipts are coming, we believe him. Sources close to his camp say he has voicemails, old photos, text threads, and even a signed birthday card Remy allegedly sent him in 2006, one that ends with a heart and the words, "Thanks for always having my back." And more. Now that card is being authenticated. Meanwhile, Papoose is making quiet moves. According to someone from his inner circle, he recently booked a flight solo to Atlanta, the same city where his cousin lives, the same cousin who works in private investigation, and let's just say that cousin isn't on Instagram. If that doesn't scream, "I'm finding the truth myself," we don't know what does, because at this point, it's no longer about loyalty, it's about clarity, closure, and maybe even custody. One insider revealed that Papoose is considering filing for legal separation, but only after the DNA results are in. Until then, he's keeping quiet, keeping still, but watching everything. And what about Remy? Well, she was spotted last night at a private dinner in Manhattan, alone, no Papoose, no press, just her and her phone. barely touching her food. According to an eyewitness, she looked tired and haunted that same night, fans noticed. She removed her wedding ring in her latest Instagram post. Comments were turned off, and that's where we are. The couple once seen as unbreakable is now unraveling in slow motion, in real time with millions watching, and 50 Cent, he's still out here, dropping cryptic posts teasing that there's one more thing that will end this story for good. What could it be? Is there a video, a recorded call, another person who knew the truth and is just waiting to step forward? One thing's for sure, this isn't over, because if the DNA results come back and the child isn't Papoose, it won't just destroy a relationship, it'll rewrite an entire legacy. It started with whispers, then it became a confession. Now it's a complete implosion because the results are in. After weeks of speculation, silent glances, and online detective work from every corner of hip-hop Twitter, the DNA test came back, and the child Papoose thought was his. He's not the father. That sentence hit the internet like a meteor. Screenshots of the document began circulating within seconds. The lab name was redacted, but the date and result weren't clear, bold, impossible to ignore, and just like that, years of loyalty, sacrifice, and public devotion were shattered in a single sentence. According to insiders, Papoose didn't even read the whole thing at first. He just saw the word excluded and dropped the paper. His hands never picked it up again. The man who once rapped about holding down his queen through prison walls now needed someone to hold him up. Sources say he hasn't spoken to Remy directly since the result came in. No calls, no messages, no explanation, just silence and distance. She tried, allegedly sent voice notes, tried to frame it as confusion, as a timing issue, even saying, "You are still the one who raised him." But it didn't land because for Papoose, this wasn't about biology. It was about betrayal. It was about being made to look like a fool in front of a world that once praised him as the gold standard for ride or die loyalty. And now that image is gone, not chipped, not cracked. Gone. What's worse, the internet won't let it rest. Old interviews are being turned into meme reactions. That viral clip where Remy told Wendy Williams, "Pap is the only man I ever trusted." It's now overlaid with 50 Cent's laugh over and over again. And speaking of 50, he didn't wait long to spike the football. Just hours after the DNA bomb dropped, he posted a clip of my yelling, "You are not the father," with a caption told y'all, "But they said I was being messy." He followed it up with a video of him sipping tea. Classic petty, inevitable, but now things are moving beyond social media. According to legal insiders, Papoose has already reached out to a lawyer, not for child support, not even for revenge, but to explore whether a formal statement is needed to protect his name, his finances, and in his own words, "What little piece I got left." Meanwhile, Remy is reportedly devastated, not just because of the result, but because her inner circle is turning on her. Multiple stylists and assistants, the same people who once hyped her up in the comments, are now leaking info, telling blogs that this wasn't a one-time mistake, that the relationship with 50 lasted longer than anyone knew, that she had feelings for him, real ones, and that she buried them to build her life with Papoose. One even claimed she always said, if the truth came out, she'd deny it to the grave. She never thought 50 would say something, but he did, and now, her world is cracking. Brand deals are pulling out. She was in talks for a new reality show spin-off, now dead in the water. One sponsor allegedly said, "We can't align ourselves with someone whose narrative is shifting so violently." And that's what this is now, a shift, because what was once seen as a redemption story, Remy coming home from prison, rebuilding her career, standing tall next to a loyal king, is now being rewritten as something else entirely. Not just betrayal, but performance, APR, relationship, a rebrand built on silence and strategy, a queen who never really left her first king behind, and through it all the streets are talking fat. Joe went live again, this time more direct. He said, "I love both of them, but lies don't stay buried forever, and when they come up, they don't knock, they kick the door in." Even fans are divided. Some say Papoose should have known that he was too good to be true, that no man rides that hard for that long without asking questions. Others defend him fiercely, calling him the last real one, a man who gave his all, and was stabbed in the back by the very person he built a life for. And then there are those defending Remy, saying mistakes happen, that her past shouldn't define her present, that maybe 50 is using this for attention, and that the real villain here is the industry itself, always waiting to tear down black love the second it reaches center stage. But here's the thing, no one can deny, Papoose isn't talking anymore, not to blogs, not to fans, not to Remy. And that silence, it's the loudest part of this whole mess, because it means he's done explaining, done defending, done pretending, and according to one friend, he's preparing to go away for a while, not disappear, but rebuild. He is reportedly stepping back from music, pausing on upcoming projects, focusing on his daughter, his family, the parts of his life that still feel real. As for Remy, she's still posting, but it feels different. Now a throwback, here a quote there, "Nothing personal, nothing emotional. Just noise," as if she's drowning in it, as if she knows the apology won't work. Not this time, and the child at the center of it all, sources say. Papoose will continue to support them privately, not because he has to, but because he did from the beginning. And unlike some, he remembers everything he said. But make no mistake, the damage is done. What once stood as hip-hop's most unshakable love story is now dust. And while 50 Cent walks away, smirking Remy Ma is left trying to clean up a mess that can't be swept, only remembered because the internet doesn't forget. The screenshots don't expire, and the truth, no matter how long it takes, always shows up, Papoose once said. Loyalty is love, with legs. Turns out it walked away the moment the mask fell, and that's the end of the story. Or is it because just when we thought everything had unraveled, a new photo hit the blogs? 50 Cent, smiling, standing outside a studio next to a woman in sunglasses. The caption, no words, just a date next Friday, looks like someone's got another story to tell. And there you have it, the truth shattered like glass, the silence louder than ever. And the man who wants to find loyalty now standing in the ruins of everything he believed in. But this isn't just about Papoose or Remy Ma or even 50 Cent. This is about how fast love turns into headlines, how one confession can destroy decades of trust, and how loyalty, real loyalty, is becoming extinct. So now we ask you, was Remy ever really honest with Papoose? Did 50 speak up to expose the truth, or just to pour gasoline on an old flame? And can a relationship survive after the receipts go public? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We want to know what you think. And if you're still shocked, still piecing together the betrayal, or waiting to see what gets exposed next, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because this story is far from over. Trust us, the next chapter is coming, and you'll want to be here when it drops. This is the internet's messiest love triangle, and it just went nuclear, only here, only on this